Hello and welcome to another episode of Lost in the Dark podcast. I am Burton, coming at you live from the crypt tonight. Doing another solo episode. Got some things I wanted to talk to you about. Full disclosure, it's currently Thursday the 24th. I recorded an episode last night and everything but the last 20 minutes got deleted. So I'm going to kind of like redo the first chunk, and then I'll let you know when it's going to switch over to the last night's ending 20 minutes. So let's fucking dive in here. How's everybody doing? Let's see. First off, tours. So the last episode, Aaron and I went over a lot of major tour announcements that happened last week. This week was even fucking more tour announcements. We have the Mark Morton solo tour, which is really cool. The guitarist from Lamb of God, who is coming out with his solo album, is going to do a short North American tour with Light the Torch and Moontooth. Not coming to Michigan, sadly, but if you're into that at all, if you're like Mark Morton, definitely. He's playing Richmond, Virginia, of course. That's awesome. Chicago, Illinois is as close as he's coming to Michigan at a venue called Bottom Lounge on March 21st. So if you're into that at all, definitely check that out for sure. Another major tour announcement was the Aborted tour. Aaron is really excited about this, so I'm sure we'll dive into it a little bit more the next time he is on. But let's see what let me see. Here we go. Yeah, it's aborted, cryptopsy. God damn it! I always fuck their name up. Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't know how to. It's written all crazy. Oh shite! Aborted, cryptopsy, benighted, and Hideous Divinity. Their first stop is on March 21st in Detroit, Michigan, at the Sanctuary in Detroit. So I know Aaron is really excited about this. He's always wanted to see Aborted and Benighted. I'm not really familiar with either of them, so I'm gonna have to do some work. It's called the Hell Over North America Blast Beats Party Tour, and it looks like a pretty cool lineup. So I'm definitely gonna check out. Actually, you know what? I think I did check out some Aborted last night. Let me double check this really quick. 1 second. If I'm correct, yes, I did. And I'm actually going to pick up, I heard a couple songs. I'm going to pick up their newest album, Terror Vision, by Aborted. Okay. I listened to like 2 songs on shitty speakers. Okay, so that, this is not an educated opinion yet, but based off what I heard, it was kind of like a more deathy thy art is murder, which I liked that. So I'm gonna go deeper in and check them out. So that could be an interesting tour. Check that out for sure. Another big one is this Devil Driver tour. Now, I'm not sure. Full disclosure, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go to this one. They have 2 Michigan dates. I'm not sure when, to be completely honest. Oh, wow, here we go. So the tour is Dope, Devil Driver, and Static X. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly, Static X. It's actually, okay, here we go. It's actually Wisconsin Death Trip, the 20th anniversary tour, featuring original Wisconsin Death Trip lineup, and it's a memorial tribute to Wayne Static. So if you liked Static X, this could be something really cool to check out. I've heard Dope is really good live. I've never seen them personally. Seen Devil Driver many times. Apparently a cool thing they're doing on this tour is playing some Cold Chamber songs. But honestly, I'm really kind of like in the bag, just waiting for this double album to come out. I saw them twice last year. I might catch one of these dates. They got 2 dates in Michigan, one at Harpo's, on July 13th, and then in Grand Rapids on July 16th. So I might end up at one of them if there's no other shows going on, not many other shows going on in July. As of right now, that's the only one that I know of that's been announced in July that I'd be interested in going to. I was never really that into Static X, full disclosure. I actually saw them live a few times with Wayne Static. Just never really, I was looking, at that point in time, I was looking for things much heavier, so they never really caught my interest back in the day. But that's definitely an interesting tour and something cool to check out. Another, and the final one that got announced this week that really caught the interest of us here at Lost in the Dark is the Buckethead tour. And Buckethead's coming. He's doing a short, I think, March and April tour. And he'll be at the Token Lounge in Detroit, Westland, Michigan, by Detroit on April 27th. So that's pretty cool. Preston has been really into Buckethead in the past year, and I actually want to do a whole podcast episode with him just about Buckethead because he's released like over 200 solo albums in the last like less than 20 years. Like, it's fucking insane. He's a machine, and he's a really interesting character. So yeah, if you like brilliant guitar work at all, definitely look into that, especially at such a small venue. It's a pretty cool thing. Cool thing that he's doing. Next up, that wraps it up on tours. I do want to mention the first, I guess you could say, new album that I got this year so far, in terms of having been released in 2019, is the Arch Enemy covers album, Covered in Blood is what it's called. And I haven't listened to it all yet. However, I do have a little problem with it because some of the songs I was excited about, Symphony of Destruction, Aces High, Starbreaker, or no, actually just Symphony of Destruction and Aces High pretty much. Okay, so I know that I knew Arch Enemy had covered those songs before, but I was excited to hear Elisa sing those songs. I thought it would be cool to hear her take on them, and that, believe it or not, was not the case. Like, they used the old covers, so it's Angela Glasgow singing Aces High, and the original singer singing. Oh no, it's Angela singing Symphony of Destruction, and the original singer singing Aces High. So that was kind of disappointing for me because I was like, I already fucking have those songs. So that kind of, I don't know, that bummed me out. However, I have. Oh no, yeah, they did a really good job of Breaking the Law. That's a really good cover of the other ones I heard. But so far to me, the fucking standout is their cover of the song Shout. You know the song Shout, Shout, Let It All Out. They fucking covered that one, and it sounds awesome as a metal song. So that's the opening track to the album, so I really liked that one. So, kind of disappointed that they reused some old covers, and didn't like redo them again. Pretty disappointed, but we did get some. I haven't given it all a listen to, but what I have heard in terms of the stuff that's actually new on there is cool. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Next up, a little piece of Michigan news. I don't know. Many of you probably have no idea what I'm about to be talking about, so I'll try to explain it a little bit. Hold on just 1 second. Let me just take a drink here. Enjoying some tequila tonight. In the crypt. So, Michigan, Detroit. Everyone knows Detroit, but not everyone knows what the Packard plant is. The Packard plant was one of the largest automotive plants in Detroit in its heyday. And let me just read you a little. The factory started operating in 1903. and turned out Packard cars until the mid 1950s. If you don't know what a Packard car is, look it up. They were really high end luxury vehicles. Really, really like cool, nice fucking looking, like, like 50s looking fucking cars that look dope as shit. So anyway, this actually happened yesterday, which is why I wanted to talk about it, because I originally talked about it on the same day it happened, but I lost that part of the fucking episode. There was so the plant was so big, it was two buildings, and in between the two buildings was Detroit's East Grand Boulevard. Over East Grand Boulevard, there was the Packard Plant Bridge, and yesterday that bridge collapsed, all on its own. We've had really fucking horrible weather here this week. It was like sub-zero cold, and then it warmed up yesterday, and now we're dipping back down into sub-zero. So that rapid warming and cooling and stuff like that, it fucking, it makes things expand and contract, and that old steel and brick gave way, and yeah, now it's just more fucking ruin porn for the out-of-towners. It's a bummer. Detroit is experiencing somewhat of a revitalization right now. It is, the downtown area is absolutely beautiful, but there are definitely these large areas still on the outskirts of town that have not been hit by by that yet. So but yeah, it's on an upswing, that's for fucking sure, no question about it. My sister lives down there, and she absolutely loves it. Yeah, so it's awesome. But it is sad to see that bridge collapse. It was a pretty big piece of history here in Michigan, and yeah, it's just it's something I just wanted to mention because a lot of people probably didn't know about it. And so yeah, if you don't know what it is, look it up. Packard. Look up the cars they used to make. Really fucking cool ass, like mobster looking fucking cars. Really sweet. Okay. Moving on to the next thing. What have you all been watching on Netflix lately? Leave a comment below if you hear this. And let me know what you've been watching. I got some suggestions for you. I don't really have much to say about this. I haven't had time to let it digest yet. I just watched the first 3 episodes like today, I think. But trigger warning with Killer Mike. 6 episodes, about 20 minutes apiece. Fantastic. I didn't know who Killer Mike was really before this, but I saw a lot of my friends posting about how good of a show it was, and then I saw Bert Kreischer on his Instagram stories watching it, and I was like, all right, I'll probably check this out. I liked it a lot. I'm really enjoying it, and I want to check out some of this guy's music. He's a rapper. Normally, we're metalheads here, but I'm also open to new and interesting things. So I really liked this guy. Also, and then out of nowhere, he was on Joe Rogan, and I loved. That's really where he got me. Like, I fucking loved him on Rogan. I was like, this guy is fucking awesome. Like, I really liked him a lot on there. So I want to check out some of his music. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah. I want to mention that. Oh yeah, but here's the thing. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of thoughts about it. I just figured I'd mention it. Saw it earlier. I don't have a lot of thoughts about it yet. At least I want to finish it first. And then, but yeah, something I did actually want to go into. Fucking this Bill Murray documentary, Bill Murray Stories or something like that is what it's called. Look it up. I don't know if you've heard about this. I remember back when I was because I grew up mostly in a college town. So, there's a lot of, I was around a lot of college kids growing up. And through them, and then once I got to college and my friends did, and we were out partying and everything, like, we heard stories. People would tell stories of Bill Murray like crashing random college parties and like photobombing engagement photos and just like weird fucking crazy but awesome fucking shit. Someone that famous doing something like that is wild. And yeah, so I guess someone like heard about these stories too and fucking decided to do a documentary about them. And he did some investigating and basically literally found out the stories are fucking true. Like he actually does do this stuff, and the documentary talks to the people that he interacted with on these occasions. Where they got video footage and all this stuff, and look, like a 5-year-old me wanted to grow up to be Peter Venkman. Like him in Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was like my childhood. Like there are only a few fucking movies. Okay, there are only a few fucking movies that I would put on a list that I would consider perfect. Just like perfect albums. Like one I often, in my opinion, point to is Appetite for Destruction. Like top to bottom, there's not a miss on that album. It's just a perfect album. I could potentially make a similar list with movies. If I were to, there's not a question in my mind for a second that Ghostbusters 1 would be on that list. Go back and watch that fucking movie. I am not kidding. Every scene is important and hilarious and necessary. You cannot add or remove a single scene from that film. It has to stay exactly the way it is because it is perfect and brilliant exactly the way it is. Like, literally, the way it moves, like, every scene is perfect. And its placement and everything. Like, it's just, I fucking adore that movie. So, the idea that this, my growing up, well, that's the thing, is I never really could pick between Venkman or Egon. But, part of me was Venkman, part of me wanted to be Egon. But, fucking, the idea of him and the guy from Caddyshack and Scrooged and all these fucking classics that I grew up with, like Groundhog's Day, being at, just crashing parties and stuff like that. It's just like mind-boggling. It's someone on that level, like using their celebrity in a way, like using their power for good. You know what I mean? Like, because the people that he interacted with that are in this documentary, like, that was one of the best nights of their lives. Like, they look back on that night and can't help but smile. And anytime you have a memory like that, that's something to cherish. So, and he's out there giving people that. As if he hasn't given the fucking world enough with his movies, you know what I mean? Like, God, what a fucking... I don't know. I really, really enjoyed that documentary. It blew my mind that all that stuff was real and that it goes into it so well. And if you like Bill Murray, if that anything I just said interests you at all, definitely check that out on Netflix. I can't remember the name of the filmmaker, but he did a good job. Definitely, really good stuff. Definitely check that one out for sure. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone listening, what I really came to you to talk to you about tonight is the other show that I watched on Netflix. One moment, please. The other show that I watched on Netflix was Punisher Season 2. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. Okay. So I want to start off. I just want to start off by giving you my perspective on these Marvel Netflix shows to begin with, okay? At the time they started coming out, I was knee-deep loving the movies. You know what I mean? The movies could do no wrong, and they still haven't. So, the idea of it going on to onto the Netflix and stuff, I was like, oh, this could be interesting. And then you kind of, slowly you kind of got this idea that it's going to be like a little bit more darker of a tone, a little bit more adult. And that really intrigued me. And then we find out it's Daredevil. And I was initially hesitant. I was a big Daredevil fan when I was younger, but the movie kind of really soured me and a lot of people. But I always loved the Born Again storyline, Kevin Smith's Guardian Devil, there's and he was always one of my dad's favorite superheroes too. So that's another reason I always liked him. My dad always liked him. And I didn't dive in until I heard Kevin Smith's review of it on Fat Men on Batman. And then when I dove in, it blew me away. In my opinion, to this day, including Infinity War, Daredevil Season 1 is one of the best things that Marvel has ever done. That season would still be in my top 3 list. It was just unbelievable. It set a whole new level. Like, it made me I still loved the movies, but I was like, give me more of this though. This is more of what I want. So much amazing action, gory fucking brutality, just top to bottom awesome. And then when the other shows came out, they didn't quite grab me the same way. So it took me a little bit longer to get into them. I still enjoyed all of them. The one I enjoyed the least was definitely Iron Fist Season 1. But other than that, I really... And I even found things to like in that. I'm in the bag for this shit, people. I'm going to find stuff to like in all of it. So that's just the way I am. But that was definitely my least favorite. Probably one I'll never go back and rewatch. But I liked Season 2. I ended up loving Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. Defenders was great, I thought. I didn't like how it ended, but I liked most of it. And then Punisher came out. Now, Punisher was first introduced to us in Daredevil Season 2. You could split Daredevil Season 2 up into a few parts. The first 6 episodes is Daredevil meets Punisher. The second 6 episodes is Daredevil meets Elektra. And the last episode is kind of its own grand finale. So we meet Frank Castle in Hell's Kitchen. And, I fucking loved him. Oh my, after how good Daredevil Season 1 was, hey, here's Season 2. Oh, and by the way, the fucking Punisher's in it. What? Oh my god. And it's being played by John Barenthal, who I was not familiar with, because I never watched, I don't like Walking Dead. I think it's fucking boring as shit. I never got into it. I'm into zombies, obviously. I love Cannibal Corpse, but so Walking Dead was just fucking not for me. I don't know. I never liked it. But so I never really was introduced to him. That was kind of his big thing. But him as Punisher, I could just... He pulled off a Robert Downey Jr. He's so good as Tony Stark. You want to see Tony Stark on screen just as much as you want to see Iron Man. For me, John Barenthal did that with the Punisher, even though he doesn't have a full-on masked suit. He doesn't have the Punisher uniform on all the time either. And when he doesn't, he's just Frank Castle. And John Barenthal plays him so fucking perfectly that it makes me want to see Frank Castle just as much as I want to see the Punisher. So yeah, I was in the bag since he was introduced Season 2. Then Season 1, or in Daredevil Season 2, then Punisher Season 1 came, and oh my god, if Daredevil was a 10, they turned it up to 11 with the Punisher in terms of overall like just violence, intensity, and brutality. I haven't rewatched it yet because of how fucking intense it is. There were parts of that was like, should I be watching this? What the fuck? Holy fucking shit, they're showing this? Like, oh my god. Oh my god, just fucking unbelievably intense. Like, it was like heroin. Like, I was addicted to that episode, or that season. I had to finish it. Like, it was so adrenaline rushing that you were just addicted to it and at the edge of your seat every second. And it was, oh my god, it was unbelievable. It was unfucking believable. So that immediately became, like, tied with my favorite with Daredevil Season 1. And yeah, in a big bad way, credited to the way just John Barenthal plays that character. Now that brings us to Punisher Season 2. First of all, let's start at the beginning. Let's start just before the beginning, actually. Let's start it in Punisher Season 1, if you remember. Fucking, one second. He fucking, when he was working at the construction site, and those guys went and like robbed that shit and came back and he had to take care of them. They were robbing a poker game, and there was a scene where the guy's like, why has nobody else done this? Sounds too good to be true, kind of a thing. And the other guy was like, because the Nucci's own it. In the comics, the Nucci family is one of the Punisher's greatest adversaries. Like, one of his best villains is him fighting against the Nucci families and a lot of his major some of his major storylines. So I was hoping that was foreshadowing for Season 2, that Season 2 would be a Nucci storyline. We did not get that. I was disappointed. We ended up with a Jigsaw that I was not particularly a fan of. I was really hoping to see the Nucci family in there. But that brings us to the very beginning of Punisher Season 2. First of all, it starts in Michigan. Okay? That's right. The Punisher is in fucking Michigan. So off the rip, I'm hooked. All right? The first 3 episodes pretty much, I think, are in Michigan, and the first 3 episodes are fantastic. My favorite part of the season by far. It's this kind of like sub-storyline almost that just before everything gets kicked off, and as far as I know, the only thing I haven't really seen that's canon is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But besides that, I think I've seen everything else, and Michigan has never been even mentioned in the MCU. So this could be the first time it's mentioned, let alone visited. However, all the places that they went to, I looked up and they don't exist. But hey, Michigan still made it in the MCU, and it's the fucking Punisher that got us in. God damn it, I love it. Yeah. So that I was in the bag from there, and yeah, it just fucking man, like I was saying, just the way John Barenthal plays this character, and you know what too? Before Season 2 came out, guess what? He was on an episode of The Church of What's Happening Now, the podcast hosted by Joey Coco Diaz and Lee Syatt. If you like podcasts, goddamn it, if you're listening to this one, you sure as fuck should better be listening to that one, because this one never happens without Kevin Smith, Joe Rogan, and Joey Coco Diaz. Those 3 are probably my favorites, and yeah, but John Barenthal was on an episode of The Church of What's Happening Now. I listened to that. Guess what? In real life, John Barenthal almost is the Punisher. Like, his life story is fucking insane. And like imagine Frank Castle, but his family never got killed. That's kind of who John Barenthal is in real life. Like he seems like a really fucking awesome dude. Yeah, it'd be amazing to meet the Punisher one day. But yeah, so I mean, I think pretty much everything else I have to say about it is in this last 20-minute clip that I got saved for you from the original episode. So I will let myself take over from here and enjoy and destroy. Like, it just made me want to see more of him being the Punisher. So that was weird to me. So yeah. That's just kind of one of my first sort of issues with the season. If you're familiar with the first season though, well, hold on. Let me see. So we started in Daredevil. I mentioned the Nucci crime family. They didn't pop up in season 2. I was really hoping that would be the main storyline, but it wasn't. He started in Michigan. Okay, and also in season 1, one of my favorite parts of season 1 was the Micro storyline. Micro from the comics is Frank's little helper. I loved their relationship in season 1. I loved their back and forth. I liked the actor that played him. Yeah, I liked everything about Micro, and I liked that he was there. Not even mentioned in season 2. Like, not even brought up, like, hey, how's Micro been? Like, nothing. There's no, like, it's as if he never existed. So that, that bummed me out a little bit. And, next up, the main, and my biggest, probably, it could be argued my biggest issue with the season was the character of Jigsaw itself. I feel like he got too much screen time in comparison to Castle. I could be wrong. Like, I don't know the counts or whatever, but that's how it felt, And I felt like he was, like, going over the same shit over and over. All right. So, first of all, his face isn't that fucked up as you want it to be, especially considering what happened in season 1. And I read an article from the fucking director, and that choice really surprised me, because all these shows and movies and all this Marvel stuff is successful and good, and it's all following the same pattern of giving the fans what they want from the comics. Give us what we've seen in the comics. Because that's what we want to see on the screen. And this is the first time where they've taken a major character and been like, well, I guess there's been a couple other times like the Mandarin, but they've taken a major character and been like, we're going to do our own thing with him. We're going to keep him relatively good looking, just with a few battle scars. And the Jigsaw is going to be his mind, and the fact that he has amnesia and can't remember anything that happened, and he has to put the pieces back together in his mind. And I'm sorry, like, when I hear them doing something like that, I'm like, all right, I'll give it a chance. Don't get me wrong, I'll give it a chance, but it's got to be really like Heath Ledger Joker level good to really get me on board. And I mean, the guy that plays Billy Russo is a great actor. I like him as the part. He got to show off a lot of different chops in this season, a lot of different ranges of emotion, because he's playing a crazy guy. So that must have been cool, and it was cool to see. But it's not anything at all I wanted from that character. Like, there are parts I didn't like. Like, one scene, they would literally jump from him, like, talking to his girlfriend to him, like, rallying the troops to go rob a bank. And I'm like, what? Or, like, right after they robbed a bank. Or, like, It's like like wait, what? And also Krista, I don't know their character's last name, but here, let me see if I still have that page up real quick. Hold on. Krista Dumont is Billy Russo, Jigsaw's like therapist, psychologist or whatever. And this is another so something that this season does a lot of that past seasons or movies haven't done. They've taken a lot of liberties. They've literally created major characters that were never in the comics. One of those characters was Krista Dumont, and she was Billy Russo, Jigsaw's therapist, and eventually turned lover girlfriend thing. And like, that whole don't get me wrong, well acted, even well like directed, but I just didn't like get it. Like, I didn't get the whole relationship. I didn't know why we were spending time on this. Why are we developing these characters so much? Especially to the end they had. It's like, I don't know. I felt like they were trying to give us a real deep insight into Jigsaw, and I just didn't get it. Like, they're trying to make it almost was like they were trying to make him a wounded bird. Something, not even a wounded bird, like a wounded lion that still ate a few people after it got wounded. Like, I don't really get where exactly they were trying to go with all of that, especially to where it ended. That didn't bring me any sense of clarity on the issue. So I really didn't like what they did with Jigsaw. All in all, I really did not enjoy that whole storyline as part of the season, particularly. However, part of the storyline that got started in Michigan was Punisher meeting this young girl who's being pursued by people trying to kill her, and obviously she's a young girl, so he protects her. She calls him Rough Road. Loved that and loved her. That was okay. So the person that played Krista Dumont, Florina Lima, fantastic job. Amy Bendix is this other character that I'm talking about now, the young girl that Punisher protects, played by Georgia Wigham. And fantastic job. I loved her whole storyline, where that went, how that ended. I loved it all. She was being pursued by some very powerful people, killed all of her friends because she had some blackmail on a gay senator whose family was trying to take over the country, and they were pulling all the strings. The gay senator had no idea about any of it. He was just like super innocent, good guy, like the guy you'd want to fucking vote for, it seemed like. And his family was just nutbags. And Punisher, took care of that in the way Frank fucking Castle takes care of that. Jack. But so I loved that whole storyline. I loved her character. And it was, I thought the whole Punisher protecting this young girl. At first, the young girl's a dumbass who fucks everything up and you hate her, but by the end of the season you like her. I love it when shows do that, like Game of Thrones does that brilliantly, Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy. All these shows take you on a ride with the characters. They make you start off hating them, but by the end you love them, and you can't get enough of them. I love shows that do that. They did that with her, and I really enjoyed that, her and Frank Castle's relationship a lot. I wish they had spent more time on that, because I remember a couple points in the season being like, it's been like 2 or 3 episodes and we haven't even fucking like mentioned that shit. Did that shit just go away? Like, what's going on? The season was clunky. you know what I mean? It was clunky. It wasn't smooth like the first season or like Daredevil. Like it wasn't a smooth storytelling. Like I said, we go from one scene where Jigsaw's like crying in his girlfriend's lap and wanting to be better to rallying the troops and wanting to take over the city. It like just didn't make sense like that much to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot, but to me it just didn't like make sense. It was clunky. It wasn't smooth. Except for all the scenes pretty much with the Punisher. Like all those scenes felt right and smooth, like we're moving. But then when we spend like whole episodes on Jigsaw and it doesn't really make sense, it just felt clunky and not like nothing was moving. It felt like we ended up seeing him have the same mental episode and breakdown more than once and same realization more than once, and it was weird. It was weird. I don't know. So, let me see here though. Micro Nuges. Yeah, that's pretty much liberties from canon. Oh. And okay, so so there's one other liberty they took from canon that they created this other character. And he is okay. So the girl Amy is being pursued, and all of her friends got killed in front of her, and then she runs away and ends up in this bar with Punisher in Michigan, and people come and try to kill her. He notices, protects her, blah, blah, blah. They run away back to New York together. Through all of this, she is being pursued by a hitman who the senator's parents, unknowing to the senator, his fucking crazy ass parents, hired to find and kill her. Okay. This fucking hitman character, not in the comics, it's another director liberty. Josh Stewart, actor I'm unfamiliar with, plays a character in the show named John Pilgrim. Alright. And he's like this. Do you ever see Da Vinci Code or hear about those like crazy like I don't know how to describe him, like a Shiite. I think this is a Jim Gaffigan joke, but like a Shiite Catholic, you know what I mean? Like one of the ones that like whips themselves for their sins kind of thing, like that kind of shit. Like, you know what I mean? The real fucking crazy ones. He fucking, that's the kind of like character he plays. Like so religious, borderline Amish kind of a thing almost. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But apparently he's like throughout the season okay. So as it starts and you are introduced to him and he's pursuing the Punisher now and this girl, he fucking he plays it so good, like this dark, evil fucking hitman that's just fucking, his eyes are black. He's like a great white shark, but maybe more like one of those, I don't know what they're called, like one of those angler things that has like from Finding Nemo that has the light that attracts you, but then it's evil. You know what I mean? Because he's almost like inviting, but his eyes are like black. You know what I mean? Like, plays it so well, so dark and creepy, and just Kaiser Soze-esque. You know what I mean? Like fucking really good job. And then as the season progresses, we find out that he's like he used to run in like New York with gangs, and he used to be a hitman for the gangs, and fucking he was like the best of the best. And one day his past comes knocking. He has to kill a room full of people in this amazing scene, and falls off the wagon, starts drinking and doing coke, which apparently are things that he used to do. But then he found God. Ultimately, like this season, honestly, made me there was a point where I was watching this where I was like, man, like I want to see like his origin story. Like, who's he in the comics? Like, I looked it up. I was like, he's not in the fucking comics? What the fuck is this? Like, I wanted to see his standalone 5 to 10 episodes on his origin story and how he came to be. I thought he was a fascinating character, played very well. I really enjoyed his story arc in the second season. He was a character, another character that literally until the last like 3 episodes I wanted him dead, and then by the last episode I liked him, and it was so well acted, well played, well written, and well directed all around on that aspect of the season. So I guess if you could look at it, the season kind of has like 3 major story threads. The story thread of Jigsaw, the story thread of Amy, and the story thread of this hitman John Pilgrim, and how they all intertwine with the Punisher. And it seems like they spent the most time on Jigsaw, but the other 2 are way better and way more interesting. Yeah. I think that's kind of a good way to put it. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, let me see. Was there any other? I can't think of any other major. Karen Page showed up for an episode. That was cool. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I can't think of any references at all to not only Punisher season 1 besides Billy Russo, but any of the other Marvel stuff at all in this season. I mean, like I said in the beginning, John Barenthal, top to bottom, this season leaves you wanting more of him, for sure. It definitely left me wanting a 3rd season. Doesn't look like we'll get it. It hasn't been officially canceled yet as of the recording of this podcast. Let's see, I'm an hour 15 in. It's 12:02 a.m. So I started recording this on the night of Wednesday the 23rd. As of right now, it has not been canceled yet. So maybe we'll get a 3rd season. Maybe Marvel doesn't want back the Punisher just yet. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure it'll get canceled though. Along with Jessica Jones. But I am really looking forward to her season 3, because when season 2 was so good at that show, I went back and full disclosure. Okay, my first viewing of Jessica Jones season 1, full disclosure, because it was the first Marvel Netflix show to come out after Daredevil season 1. Okay, I binged for 12 hours Jessica Jones season 1, waiting for Daredevil to show up, and when he never did, I was pissed. So I was like, I don't really like it that much. It's more like in your head stuff, and I just was looking for action. I was looking for comic book punching. But then when season 2 came out, I knew what to expect, more so, and I enjoyed it significantly. I really, really loved season 2. I loved every second of it. And it made me like it so much, I went back and revisited season 1 and fell in love with it all over. Fell in love with it. So I am really looking forward to season 3 of that. And, it's a situation at this point where I hope the showmakers and everybody's aware this is probably going to be a closing. And I hope they kind of wrap up all the storylines for us. In a similar way that Daredevil did, because in my opinion, at least, if you look at Daredevil season 1, 2, and 3, by the end of season 3, like, you absolutely could continue it, but all the threads have been tied. Like, everything that was started in season 1 has finished. Like, we're okay. Like, all the major stuff, we're done. Like, we've done it. We could keep going. We could tell new stories, but it would be just that. It would be new stories. It wrapped up all the old stories that were started in season 1 perfectly, and I hope the same for Jessica Jones. The only thing I would have done differently at the end of Daredevil season 3 is one more like glorious shot of him I would have ended it on a glorious shot of him in costume fighting crime in the same way that Punisher season 2 ended, but we didn't get that. We just got a teaser for Bullseye that'll never happen. But so yeah, I guess that's mainly it. I just kind of, it's been a little while. This may be the only episode this week. I got my fingers crossed for one more. But we'll see how the week pans out. Like I said, the weather has been a nightmare here in Michigan. And like we jumped up to 40 degrees today, but it looks like by Friday we'll be back down to 1. So this rapid cooling and freezing, or warming and freezing, causes a lot of problems. And so I don't know why we live here, but we'll see. We'll see how the rest of this week goes. Hopefully we'll get one more in. If not, we'll definitely be back next week for sure. If nothing else, then with another one of these solos. I just finished Punisher a couple days ago. I had a couple days to let it digest. I watched that Bill Murray thing last night. I want to let you guys know about those. All in all, I'll give Punisher rating. Punisher, if Punisher season 1 is a 5 out of 5 go-aheads, I give this one a 3. Solid 3, but a 3. Yeah. And that Bill Murray documentary, if my favorite documentary ever, obviously, is a 5 out of 5 go-aheads, I'd give this one also a solid 3. Really good. Really, really good, but not one of my favorites. But I highly recommend watching it. Like, seriously, if you like Bill Murray at all, check it the fuck out. It's really good. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. I think that's gonna be it for me in the crypt on this evening of Wednesday in January, and I hope everyone's New Year is going well. Anyone who, especially any of you who are listening to this episode at this point, I love you all deeply, and thank you so much for listening. And I really hope your New Year's are going well. Keep it up. If you made any resolutions, I don't make resolutions. I think it's bullshit. But for the first time this year, on some level, I felt something, and I've been exercising a lot, even though it's nothing crazy. It's just kind of, I think calisthenics is the word for just push-ups and sit-ups. I don't know. Push-ups, sit-ups, squats, lifting a 25-pound weight I got. Things like the things I can do pretty much in my room. Doing that. Trying to eat better. Doing Joe Rogan's like intermittent fasting a little bit and stuff like that. Just trying to watch the health. Kind of. It's no resolutions. It's just it was something I started back in October anyway, and just kind of decided to hit it hard. So if you're doing something like that, I hope you keep it up. I wish you all the absolute best. If you're listening to this still, thank you so much, and I love you all. But that's going to be it from me tonight from Lost in the Dark podcast. I hope you enjoy and destroy. And I hope you have a great day tomorrow, or whatever fucking day you're listening to this. I hope you have a great fucking day. And I love you all. Good night.